Hello there guys, Francis Gray here, and today I've got a new diorama to share with you all. This is a reworked Jacob and Evie Frye, or the Frye twins, from the hit Ubisoft game Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Basically what I did was I bought the two individual statues that you can buy from Ubisoft that click together to make a diorama, and then basically just built up on top of it, or built up like more to it. So basically it's more or less displayed or shown as it's supposed to be shown, how it's supposed to be displayed. But what I did was I started off by adding like a gaslight flickering light effect into the lamppost. I also pimped out the top of the lamppost because the other one just seemed a little bit flat compared to how they are in the game. So I decided to model a bit more on that. I also added like a little bit of like a burnt soot kind of feel on the inside, because when I was walking around in the game, I took a good look at the some of the details, and they all seem to have this like soot accumulative in the corners. So I decided to recreate that. Added new highlights to the rook because the rook was actually just all one, like a matte black. So I decided to I do his eyes different color beak, different color legs, and just a few little highlights even there. Added highlights all the way down the lamppost, so it has more of a metallic kind of feel rather than just like the matte black. When it comes to Jacob, I added a few little highlights. The only real paint that I did that wasn't on there before is, well, there's a few like airbrush effects that I applied on the coat, but the main thing was I added the silver outline to his waistcoat, which the statues for some reason never seem to have on them. So I decided to make them a bit more like the game. I also added a new end to Jacob's cane because it was just a bit weird. It was just like it was no pattern on it, and then it just stopped, and then like an elevated part on the bottom, and it just didn't look like any of the pictures that I've seen of the merchandise of the cane that you can buy, or canes from inside the game. So I basically just got a bit of Abe's epoxy, modelling clay, put a thin layer around it, and then just basically added some sculpting patterns, and just made a little bit of a pattern. Left it to harden, and then just basically give it a matte colour, matte black base coat, sorry, and then once dry, I just give it a dry brush effect of antique gold. I repainted the top of the eagle head as well, the same colour, so it all matches. And I also added a new gun to Jacob's left hand. Uh, the guns in the game later on, it's not really a spoiler, but later on when you get to like level 10, you unlock like guns that look like kind of reminiscent of like modern day like 9mm Berettas kind of a thing. So anyway, I looked in my bit box with just random bits that I've collected over the years and just threw in there, and I found this like, it looked like futuristic kind of goth punk, steampunk, sorry, kind of feel to a gun. So I basically just cut it in half and threw the midsection away, and then just basically pinned and glued the front part, and then the bottom part where the clip goes, or where the handle is. So that worked out really well. When it comes to Evie, I added a few little touch-ups here and there, but nothing hugely changed on her. The main thing that changed on her was I repainted new details to her face. The original face, for me, didn't really bring across Evie. In the game, Evie has really thick mascara, then like these like really prominent freckles on her cheeks and on some of her nose, and she has a different color lipstick. Where the statue was very plain, so basically I just put those new parts on there. It wasn't a full repaint; it was just these extra highlights added. And when it comes to the actual base, what I did was I got an old unwanted, unused picture frame, wooden picture frame, and then basically I cut it up to fit the basic statue base, and then hot glued it into place. I also added a bottom underneath, so it was all one big thick heavy piece of wood, so there was no like hollow bit like most frames have. I added some like little coaster little underneath, so it elevated the wood up off the base, which was quite a nice effect. And I added green felt on the bottom, and then when I actually came to the statues themselves, I hot glued the main statues in place, and then I used air dry and modelling clay, and then basically filled in the gaps in between the wood and the original base. So what I did was I sculpted in, or I continued on, all the little cobblestones on the floor. So that worked out really well. The main problem with that though was the elevated street path or pavement. Basically what I did was I added the bulk of air dry and modelling clay, and then I used Aves epoxy modelling clay. Once that air dry and clay was hardened, I used Aves epoxy modelling clay to sculpt over and add the details, so it's rock solid now, so you can't actually tell where the original pavement started and this one, the new one ends. Obviously continued it all on, repainted it all the same colour so it all matched. Added like a dark grey undercoat, left to dry. Light grey dry airbrushing effects, a few little different colour airbrushed here and there to give a little bit of individuality to different parts. And then I went through all the little cracks, and with a really fine paintbrush with some black, and added the highlights in all the little cracks. It was a little bit tedious to do that, but it added that fair dimension to it all, and it really made it stand out. After that, I added some leaf effects scatter. Basically, this stuff I make myself. If you're interested in seeing how I do that, please check out my modeling tips videos, or check out the description below, and I'll add a link in the description to how I make leaf effect. So basically, I just glued them in places with PVA glue. Once dried, I give them a couple of coats of clear varnish gloss, which made it look like it was wet, like it was just rained. Because obviously in the game, walking around, there's a lot of puddles and everything's wet, and it rains quite a lot, which is normally the case in England. And yeah, once those were dry, once that varnish had dried and it helped secure the leaves to the floor, I then got some liquid resin and poured the liquid resin into the gutter, because there's like an elevated gutter or a sunken gutter down both sides of the street. So this part is kind of cut off because the sculptor sculpted some kind of like rocks there, so I couldn't continue the water on. I did a little bit, but not too much. So I just wanted to get across like cumulative puddles, with bits of leaves in there, and just dead rats and and just stuff like that. And after the main base was done and all the highlights were added and all that, basically I took some, I went through my bit box again, and I found stuff that I thought could reminisce or look like street weapons. So obviously, one of the main parts of the game is you take each borough of London or each part of London back, like piece by piece, from the Templars. And normally, it's like there's always like street gangs or like fights going on or street battles. So basically, what I did was I took different things of weapons that I repainted, and then I added red or green string just wrapped around, bit of PVA glue, wrap it around, and then leave it to dry. And basically, the red ones are supposed to be the blighters' weapons, and the green ones are the rook's weapons. So it's just a nice little touch there, from the game. And then the only thing that was left to do was I drilled a few holes here, there, and everywhere, and added little plants sticking out. Because one thing I realized from the game was there was always like plants growing out of the street corners or through the cracks of the pavements and the cracks from the cobbles, etc. So yeah, it's another nice little touch. Painted the wood frame black, left it to dry, give it 2 or 3 coats of clear varnish gloss so it's nice and shiny. Everything looks like it's just been rained on the main diorama there. And then the last step was got a nameplate made, gold nameplate that just says Syndicate on it. I didn't want to go like Assassin's Creed Syndicate because I would have been too much or too busy, so I just wanted to get a Syndicate across. So yeah, so I just basically glued that in place, and then that's it. That's the full diorama done. So yeah, so I'll give you a close-up view now, and I'll show you some more of the details, and I'll try and explain a bit more as I go. So obviously, as you can see there's a nice lovely flame effect. So if you turn the lights out or dim them down, if you got this displayed in a glass cabinet, it's a real nice atmospheric look or glow to it all. So let's turn the lights back on. So obviously there's the repainted bed or the repainted rook. So going down to Jacob, love the detail on the cane there. The only thing I let it down was the bottom, but I've remade that now, so that looks a bit more how it should do. I also had to repaint all his fingers on his gloves because mine came with like a big blob of black where they've obviously been painting the glove part, and it's obviously spilt over. So I had to repaint that as well. And then going down to the waistcoat, like I said, just the silver highlight added to that. The rest of it's just as it comes. And then we go to the main base. So I apologise if this is a bit shaky cam. Please bear with me. So basically you can see there, so it's rock hard resin, clear resin, but you can see all the little leaves accumulated at the bottom there, which is a really nice little detail. My daughter's fascinated by that. Every time she sees it, she's always wanting to touch it, and she can't get her head around why it looks like water, but it's not. So yeah, so obviously little knife there, little homemade shiv. There's like a machete kind of dagger thing, and then there's like ice pick kinds as well. And all the leaves all over the floor. So as you can tell, the extra base or the extra pavement worked out really well. There's a club. Obviously one of them's you get hit with a club. And obviously more ice picks, obviously dead rat, another machete from the blighters, two sandbags. I'm not. I like these, but I don't understand why they were like overly like featured in this diorama or in the original diorama. Because I've yet to actually see any sandbags like in the middle of the street in the game. But you know, it was on the original diorama. I quite liked it, so I dare eat it up and give it a couple of coats of gloss black, so it looks like it's just been rained on, and it's like the material soaked in the water. So I think that turned out quite nice. So yeah, so as far as the base, obviously there's the nameplate. As far as the base goes, I think roughly that's about it. I'll see if I can give you a close up on Evie's face. Sorry if it's a bit blurred. Probably the best I'm going to get. So as you can see there, there's different colour lipstick, and then her freckles on her cheek and some on her nose. I don't know if the nose ones are showing up. And obviously thicker mascara around her eyes. And my eyebrows on mine were more like a blondish colour, so I had to repaint them a darker brown, which added that little bit more detail. But yeah, but more or less the full thing reviewed. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this quick review, this quick look at. Please click the like button if you liked it. Don't forget to share on Facebook and Twitter, guys, because it really helps me out and it helps new people find my page, which I'm always appreciative of. Thank you very much. And nothing else to say, but thank you for watching and see you next time. Thank you very much and goodbye.